Welcome back to the Fracking Farmhouse, the garden of the Fracking Farmhouse. This might be a long one, brace yourself, but it's really important because we're just about to go into a public inquiry with INEOS, starting next week or so. And I was asked to speak by Friends of the Earth about a year ago outside Sheffield City Hall to talk. There was it's a Keep Fossil Fuels in the Ground rally, and they wanted somebody to speak about what it was like from a community that's actually threatened by the drill, by fracking. And unfortunately we are that community. So, and I remember saying something, it's probably still on YouTube.
This battle is so strong, and it's like you're playing a game with somebody, except they know the rules and they've got more pieces than you. And they keep changing it. The Infrastructure Act 2015, we didn't know. And then you look round at it and it says, oh yeah, all those protections you used to have in law, they don't exist anymore. So you could get a bit down, couldn't you? But you get good days.
But I remember saying that it's like playing a game, except they've got all the pieces and they know the rules. And then when you start to know the rules, they change the rules. And unfortunately, this has happened so blatantly for us just a couple of weeks ago. On 17th of May this year, right, public inquiries, it's a game, right? And what you do is you put witnesses forward, and about a month before the inquiry, everyone has their witness statements, and then they swap them over, and then you look at what the other people are going to do, you see, what they're going to read out in the inquiry. So it's a sort of like, it's like a card game, and it's all, because this is a game. They know the rules, we don't. They've employed professionals, we've never done this before. But we know the rules, they're written in the local plan and things like that, the minerals plan and all that, they're all written out and we've all studied those. So we know the parameters. We had to do swapping of the statements on the 22nd of May. On the 17th of May, out the blue, Greg Clark, Secretary of State for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, stands up in the House of Commons, and his colleague stands up in the House of Lords. Energy policy, written statement, HWCS 92. Out of the blue, we didn't know this was coming. This is on the Thursday. My right honourable friends wish to reiterate the government's view that there are potentially substantial benefits for safe and sustainable exploration and development of our onshore shale gas resources, and set out in this statement to Parliament the actions we are taking to support our position. This joint statement should be considered in planning decisions and plan making in England. Oh yeah, Ross, right, Oscar. So he's saying, just before we exchange, this is our opinion, right? And our inspector is employed by this guy. And then he goes on the same old rubbish. We must have safe, secure supplies of energy. Decline in North Sea gas, environmental impacts robustly regulated. We believe that it has potential to deliver substantial economic benefits to the UK economy and creating thousands of new jobs. All this is unsubstantiated bump, right? And he'd done no extra research, he just came out with it. And this was on the 17th of May. On the 22nd of May, we exchanged proofs, and then we get INEOS's planning proof back, quoting at length the ministerial statement. How did they know what was going in here? Yeah. This is like it's been written by the shale gas industry. It probably was, and the minister has peddled it out. The amazing thing, and there's more in here than just the things that they've quoted. Right, they've set the HCLG, the Housing Communities Local Government Committee, to look at some of these aspects. They had one meeting to consider it. They've got loads more meetings, and he's stood up and he's come out with the results he wants them to get. Right, this statement is material consideration in plan making and decision taking, in particular those on mineral planning. So he's also having a go, because North Yorkshire have had a lot of success with writing the mineral plan for North Yorkshire. And the campaigners up there, and they've had reasoned discussions with decision makers, and they've come up with some ideas like, you should have a 500 metre setback distance. You shouldn't drill within 500 metres of a house. That makes sense. because these things are noisy and they're polluting and the things. So they put that in, and so he writes here that we shouldn't sterilise areas. In other words, no, he doesn't want that to do. They've got this through in North Yorkshire in front of a planning inquiry, and they got an inspector to agree with them. Other things, they got agreed a definition of fracking, because back in 2015 the government decided to redefine fracking. Fracking would only be fracking if you used over, I don't know, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, 100 million gallons of water, like 100 million cubic metres, a very large sum of water. It's like saying we're going to have safe MOTs and seatbelts on cars, and then define cars as anything with over a 2.5 litre engine that can go 90 miles an hour, and therefore every other thing, because when you put the limits they put on fracking was only big fracks would count. So you could go and do mini fracks and it wouldn't be fracking, so you wouldn't need so many regulatory things. That was what they went round. North Yorkshire had overturned this, but he's back here trying to overturn that again. So he's knocking our planning application on the head. He's knocking the North Yorkshire minerals plan on the head. And then possibly the worst bit in it, he talks about considering making exploratory wells permitted development. Now this was in the Tory manifesto, and we thought because they'd done so badly it was on the back burner, but so just put it back on the table. Making exploratory wells permitted development, right? You need 4 things to drill an exploratory well, on a 5. Right. You need a licence from the Oil and Gas Authority. They've granted those, they've already got them. You need the Health and Safety Executive to look at your design for a well and say that it's all right. They're going to do that. You need the Environment Agency to say it's going to be all right, and we've seen them do that with these ridiculous risk assessments, saying it doesn't really matter if you pollute the groundwater, stuff like that. So those all are given. The only one we had was planning permission, and what they're doing with permitted development is saying you don't need planning permission for an exploratory well, so you can build a well pad anyway. The 5th one, by the way, is the landowner's permission. That's all they will need if they get this through, and at the moment it's just his opinion, it ain't law. It's just his opinion that he wants to have consultations this summer with a view to making that law. That would mean that if your landowner, just the other side of your fence, takes the INEOS's money, there's nothing you can do. Absolutely nothing you can do about it. It's going to happen. And if you want to go and stand outside and chain yourself to the fence, INEOS have got an injunction to stop you doing that. Like, this is so anti-democratic. This is so hugely vast. We should have a national demo in London. If I wasn't too busy trying to fight this public inquiry, I'd be trying to organise one of those, but hopefully somebody out there, watch this, organise a demo in London. This is massive. It absolutely got through because all we're talking about is Brexit. And this is what they're doing. There's a very similar thing happening in America. Trump's going around going blah, 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 and the Republican Party is dismantling healthcare, protection for the environment, protection for workers, and the same thing's happening here under Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. They are ramming through stuff like this, which is taking away. Planning law is there to protect health, protect the environment, protect people. That's why it's there. It was built by the Victorians to stop tenement buildings and things like that, and they are dismantling protections that we have in law, and nobody's even noticing. This was not reported on the news. So I'm quite angry about that. I'm sorry I've gone on for a bit too long. Yeah, okay, yeah, I've gone on a bit too long, but this ministerial statement is absolutely shocking, and it just shows that this government are absolutely in the pockets of the rich and the wealthy people who are destroying our environment to make their profit. And I do hope that Jim Radcliffe chokes on his knighthood. Thank you very much.